Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Pursued by a force that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history as a spy and the broken relationships left in her wake long before she became an Avenger. So Black Widow was never really a movie that I was ever that interested in. I think that comes down to the fact that my least favourite characters were Black Widow and Hawkeye, maybe because they were, let's say, the normal ones of the bunch. So when it was something that everyone was going crazy about back at the start of the MCU, I was more indifferent about the whole thing. When I heard that they would finally be doing a movie, however, I did feel that it was a cool idea as it would be something different tonally. But was it too late? To me, not really. It was a chance to tell a story that hadn't been covered, so I was interested at last. Directed by Kate Shortland, Black Widow takes place after Civil War, before Infinity War, and yes, if you've seen Endgame, then you're aware of Natasha's fate. Before watching this one, I always had the idea that a Black Widow movie would be akin to a Bourne or Hitman movie mixed with the Marvel Studios formula, and that is pretty much what you get with this one. I would have liked it if it was a bit more grittier, but what I was surprised by was how much this one didn't feel like your normal MCU movie. From the title credits and throughout, it's only the familiarity of the characters and little mentions here and there of the Avengers that keeps this one within that world. It's a lot more toned down, there's no magic users here or lots of heroes or villains with superhuman abilities shooting energy out of their bodies, just skilled fighters. The cast is great for the most part, however Ray Winston, who plays the big bad Dreykov, is probably the weakest link here. I would have liked to have seen a shift in power perhaps, and see more of Taskmaster maybe taking over and playing a more ruthless antagonist. Speaking of Taskmaster, there was a very cold silence to that character, which reminded me a bit of someone like Michael Myers, but I did wish that there was more of a sense of threat to their presence whenever they were on screen. A bit like when the Winter Soldier first appeared, it felt like anything could happen when this dangerous character was on screen. I didn't get that sense from Taskmaster, but hopefully we can see more from this character in the future and see their character develop even further. This may be Scarlett Johansson's first solo movie in the MCU, and although she is good, Florence Pugh and David Harbour both steal the show as Yelena Belova and the Red Guardian. They're both surprisingly funny, likeable characters, and they definitely need to have a future in the MCU. The chemistry between Scarlett, Florence, David and Rachel Weisz's characters just works so well to really draw focus on this dysfunctional family of spies. Again, I think Yelena's character really adds a sense of heart to this movie, and I can see why people already love her character. We finally get to find out what happened in Budapest, and even though I would have liked to see more of a flashback of that time, at least we got some answers. Sticking on the subject of things I would have liked, it would have been good to have some more focused action set pieces with hand-to-hand combat again, like in Bourne or Daniel Craig's James Bond movies, where the action is so up close and personal and really engages the audience in those sequences. I think that would have worked really well in a movie like this. Black Widow to me felt like a good movie, which I enjoyed even more so on the second time I watched it. However, it might split people's opinion as it's not like other MCU movies. And although people keep saying they're all the same and want something different, I'm sure there will be the same ones asking for more of the Marvel tropes that were missing from this film. But you can't please everyone all the time, especially people like that. Black Widow isn't here to further the plot of one of the sagas, it's simply a smaller story that may have benefited from being released before Endgame. There is one small scene which does add to a future story, but that's from an end credit scene, and generally this movie as a whole stands on its own. I enjoyed Black Widow. It's not up there with my favourite MCU movies, but I think it's definitely worth watching. There's a sense of something different here, learning more about the Red Room and these deadly assassins who were basically trafficked as children, experimented on and trained. And like I said before, it's very much like a Bourne or Hitman movie in tone. We've seen movies like this before, but these stories haven't been told in the MCU. So, have you seen Black Widow? What did you think? Leave your comments below and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.